session. I do want to take a few moments to talk about Pukar. We are all here thanks to Pukar. So I do want to take a few seconds to talk about of the foundation. The Pukar Foundation launched in August of last year. It's an emotional support helpline. We provide free, confidential emotional support to anyone feeling stressed, depressed, or suicidal. We have thoroughly trained and willing, more importantly, right? Willing volunteers listen to you and try to understand um, all our callers without any judgment. I'm sure we've all been through times when we know that this is such a precious gift we can give to someone. So we currently operate every day from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have a strength of 22 volunteers and looking to expand. We will put the details of the foundation, the number, the helpline, the social media handles on the chat periodically so you have access to it. And please share it. You never know who will need it at what point. So please do share it in your circles. Before I introduce the speaker, Simran, thank you so much, first of all, for being here. I want to just do some housekeeping for the session and briefly introduce the topic. I'm no expert on this. We will have Simran speak much more on this, but just in terms of housekeeping, yes, we are recording the session. It will be available on our YouTube channel. We would like it to be as interactive as possible. But during the session, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, please put it on the chat and I will try to incorporate it during the session with Simran. And of course, as always, we will also have a Q&A at the end, right? So you will definitely have a chance to ask your questions. So coming to today's topic, addiction. I think this is one topic that really challenges us in terms of understanding and compassion. Those of us who have been on the sidelines, who have experienced this firsthand with people we love, we really struggle to understand why. I think this is the big question that comes. Why? Why does this person do this? And why can't he just snap out of it, right? He or she, why can't they just snap out of it? And some of us may have actually, I think today this is a lot more common because we have gadget addiction and social media addiction and all of this. Some of us are asking that question to ourselves as well. We also struggle to break out of the grips of addiction. So I'm sure from both angles, it's going to be super helpful for us. Let's get on this journey which really dares us to reframe the way we look at addiction. And I think if we're able to do that today, our job here is done, right? So we'll get down to the bottom of it, help ourselves and others through it. And who better to help us than Simran? Simran, I think if I had to read your whole profile, it's going to take me so long, but I do want to do it because it's so relevant to today's topic. And I want our participants to know that, you come with such rich background. Firstly, thank you so much for being here with us. So happy to have you. So Simran Pawar is a psychiatric social worker. She's currently pursuing MPhil from Maharashtra. So some of you might have overheard she's in Pune right now. She's pursuing MPhil. She holds an experience of over 6 years working in this field. Her specialization is, in fact, substance and behavioral addiction, and she has closely worked with the addiction centers. Her research topic is on internet addiction, attachment style, and emotional regulation. So make sure your questions are getting answered today. This is the best opportunity you have. She also has an experience in project management roles as well as in suicide prevention. She has been volunteering with suicide helplines for 7 years. She's also QPR certified as a suicide prevention gatekeeper. So she has pursued her master's in social work from Christ in Bangalore, specializing in clinical and community practice. And she also holds a PG diploma in counseling and a bachelor's degree in philosophy. I'm just tired even saying this. I don't know how you did all of this, Simran. This is beautiful, such a rich profile. And thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. Um, Thanks for being here again.
Not at all. Very happy
Thank
to
you.
be here.
Great. So I'm going to keep this conversational with you, Simran, and don't mind me.
Yes.
I'm going to keep interrupting you if that's okay with you. But
Yes, yes, of
what
course.
we really want to start with, like I was saying in the introduction as well, is how can we look at addiction? What is addiction really? And we know what it what the experience of it is, but how can we look at it differently? What is it? Are some people more prone to it than other people?
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on this?
of course. So when we come look at the broader term addiction, we usually think about it as, hardcore drugs or alcohol or something very severe. But addiction, as a broad term, we can classify it into behavioral addiction as well as substance addiction. So in substance, we have these alcohol, drugs, some prescribed medications, and those kind of things. And in behavioral addiction, we also look into social media addiction or gaming addiction, we have sex addiction, we have pornography addiction, we have eating disorders as well. So all of that is also on a rise these last couple of decades, and we have seen so many patients struggling with these addictions as well. Like they come in and they are like, okay, I'm not able to get out of my phone. Like I'm constantly on my phone, and I can't stop. I can't stop using it. I know it
Yeah.
is harming me, but there are some other consequences as well associated with it. So
If I can just interrupt
yeah,
you there, I'm so sorry. Just one
no,
thing.
no
How
problem.
do I know? Because when you said I can't get out of my phone, right? I'm sure this is
Yeah,
something we all relate with.
yes.
Um, at what point does it become, can I classify it as an addiction versus, just something that
Right,
I'm doing?
of course. So we look into it as a physical and a psychological dependence on substance or on that particular object or a thing. So how it begins is basically when you do something to get pleasure out of it. So it can be anything. It can be different for each person. So it can be just having a drink with your friends, or having a cigarette, or reading a book, or going on a vacation. So that is something that you do to get pleasure. So that's where it starts with, that you're doing something for fun, and then slowly and gradually you look for that fun again and again, to get that high, or that to experience that pleasure again. So once that happens, you start getting a craving, which is the next step. That when you're surrounded, when you're doing your work, you get that craving. Okay, just one cigarette, or maybe just one drink, or okay, let me just get this tea, for example, or that coffee. I want that. So that is the craving. This After you get that craving, you realize that your tolerance has increased. What it means is, initially maybe that one cup of tea or that one cigarette was giving you that happiness or that high or that pleasure, is not sustaining right now. So you want more and more of it. So you consume, or you take that substance more to achieve that high, or to achieve that happiness or that pleasure. So your uh, tolerance increases basically. And then what happens is, you get into the withdrawal, that if you're not getting that substance, or if you're not getting that thing, you start experiencing symptoms that you need that substance. Your body needs that substance. Your mind needs that substance. You're emotionally dependent on that substance. So this is the whole process of getting addicted to that substance, or to that behavior, wherein you have that initial pleasure, then you get the craving, then you have your tolerance is increased, and then there is withdrawal if you're not getting that substance. And there are then harmful effects, wherein you're getting isolated by the people around you. You are more and more into that habit or that behavior. You are ignoring people around you. You are neglecting your health. You know that there are harmful effects doing it. You know that drinking every day is going to cause you disturbances, but you're not able to stop. So that is when you're getting addicted, because your body needs it. Your body is giving out physical symptoms now, in terms of maybe tremors, or shivering, or sweating, nausea. You're not able to eat unless you have a drink in your stomach. So all these things then start becoming severe. That's how we term it as, your alcohol dependence. Like you're getting
Hmm.
dependent on it. So
Thank you, Simran. That's
yeah,
so beautiful. I mean, what you're saying is seeming like a classic heart versus mind problem, where my, body is craving it, but my mind knows that it's not good, and I'm not able
yeah,
to override that at that point.
yes,
So when is it addiction? What you're saying is when it becomes a hindrance in your life in any
Yes.
form, either health or socially or in any form, or if you feel like you are physically or emotionally dependent on it, your dependence
Yes.
increases. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for that. And if I may also ask you, are there particular areas or sections of the population that are more prone to getting addicted than others? What kind of determines that?
Mhm. So there is not specific age group. It majorly depends on a lot of factors that we can say that some people may be more prone or more vulnerable to getting addicted, either to substance or to behavioral addiction. So that can again depend on your background in terms of, say, maybe childhood trauma or negative experiences that you've experienced in your life. Could be early loss, or you have experienced death in your life, or there could be unstable home environment, separation, divorce, parental conflicts. All of these things could be like a contributing factor or a risk factor in, say, baby getting addicted, because addiction is more of a coping than a choice. That you're choosing to use that substance or engage in that behavior because you would like to cope with your pain, and all
Hmm.
these factors are causing you pain. So at that moment, how are you going to cope up, or how are you going to support yourself? So you're choosing activities that will help you to deal with that pain or to lessen that pain. And that's how maybe you start drinking alcohol or smoking cigarette, because that is giving you a reward. It's helping you de-stress or cope up with whatever you're going through. It is eliminating your pain, it's giving you pleasure, you're feeling happy, all of those factors. So because of it starts with these factors, and then it can turn into like a severe dependence.
Hmm. So again, to summarize what you're saying, basically, I think this is something we also spoke about before the session, where then it starts from pain. That's what it is. And
Yeah,
addiction is really a symptom of the struggle that somebody is going through.
of
So when
course.
we begin to look at it like that, then it doesn't seem like, I cannot connect with someone who's
Yes.
addicted anymore, right? I'm looking at it more empathetically, more compassionately.
Definitely. So many times it's like, okay, why are you drinking? Why are you smoking? Quit it. It's so easy. I did it. You can do it as well. 21
Yeah,
days, it's a habit. But
yeah,
it's not so simple.
yeah.
It's not possible for everybody, because there are so many other factors that are contributing to it. There are social factors, that are psychological factors that are contributing to the addiction. So it's not easy for each and every individual. How often, if I ask you all to stop having that cup of tea in the morning, how many of you would be actually be able to do it?
Yeah.
Because for a lot of people it's like, okay, until and unless I don't have that cup of tea or that cup of coffee, I'm not fully awake, I'm not able to get through my day. So
Yeah.
that is addiction, right? Because your body is dependent on it, physically and emotionally you're dependent on it, and one fine day you just can't quit suddenly. It is a process, it will take time for you to do that.
Yeah. And it's harder for us, I think, to think of tea and coffee as and ourselves as the ones who are addicted, so to speak. When it's easier to think of, okay, alcohol or substance
Yes.
abuse and all of that as addiction. But even this, like you rightly pointed out, even this is an addiction, and we
Hmm.
just haven't accepted it.
Of course,
Time to
because
look
I
at
think you
ourselves.
similarly go through that phase, right? That you're
Yeah,
getting that cravings. The minute you wake up in the morning, you are like, okay, I need a tea.
yeah.
And when
Or my
you
head is going to
smell
hurt.
that, yes, when you
Yeah,
smell that tea leaves boiling in the water, you're feeling, okay, fine. There is
yeah.
hope in life. My day is gonna
Yeah,
get better now when you
yeah,
drink it. So
yeah.
that's the craving, right? And then the
Yeah.
tolerance is also increasing, where one cup of tea is not enough. You
Mm,
need more and more, or at least you're having 2 or 3 cups throughout the day.
yeah.
So that's the whole system. I mean, of course, it may not be as harmful as the withdrawals may not be as harmful as alcohol or drug withdrawals, but
Yeah.
the recent research has been showing that it is creating a similar impact on your brain as compared to your hardcore
Interesting.
drugs.
Wow, that's interesting. So, I mean, I really want to reiterate this point again for everyone who's here to look at addiction as a symptom of pain,
Yeah.
right? That is so important. I think this is, if I take away anything at all from this session,
Yes.
this would be so key for me to understand that. And do you feel like it's addiction in general? I think we have many different kinds of addiction for sure now, but do you feel like addiction in general is on the rise, and why do you think that is?
Yeah, of course. So as I mentioned that not just substance addiction, but we see there is a lot of behavioral addiction is also coming on rise, especially phone or internet addiction. And again, there is no age group over here, right? Because right now everybody is having a smartphone.
Yeah,
Even like a 5-year-old to a 70-year-old, we see that they're handling a smartphone and they are, on WhatsApp or they are on YouTube and they are just scrolling and scrolling.
yeah,
Like, and after a point of time, we don't even remember what we have just seen. The brain
right.
is not processing anything, but it's just that scrolling. It's that pleasure effect that we are getting on the brain. That okay, we are seeing something, we are getting happy, and then we are moving on.
Yeah.
So we are not taking a pause to, okay, just process what we have seen or how that content has made me feel, or if I'm taking away from it, anything from that content or no, but we are just, mindless scrolling that's happening. And we are not able to stop. That is the thing that we know, okay, we are wasting our time and it's harming us. I have some other work to do, but I'm not able to stop myself from scrolling. So that has also seen a rise, especially, in younger kids. We often see that what happens is if they're crying, the parents usually hand them the phone. So, okay, you just watch something so that you're not crying.
Yeah.
And now what is happening is whenever they would want to see something on the phone, they will cry because they know that when you're crying, when you're throwing tantrums, you're going to get that phone. So you're not eating without watching something on the phone. You're not doing your studies without getting that some time on your phone. So you're using it as a coping, right? Or you're using it as
Hmm.
an escape. That okay, I will do this. I will listen to you if I get some time on phone. So there, that is how an association is made, and I'm getting addicted to it. That
Hmm.
I need something in front of me so that I listen to you.
So what you're saying is that because people are not trained, or maybe because people find it easy to, firstly, of course, access has increased like crazy
Yes,
for
of
each
course.
one
Yeah.
of these spaces, right? Including substance, I think
Hmm.
access has increased. Um, because access has increased, I have an easy way of kind of outsourcing my emotional regulation. So
Yes.
I have not learned to regulate or cope with or manage my
Hmm.
emotions. And I just distract myself without ever having to look at it. And
Of
that's very
course.
convenient for me, right?
Hmm.
I mean, of course, I would not want to look at or think about the
Hmm.
fact that I'm sad, so I'm continuously scrolling.
Hmm.
Is that what the reason why it's on the rise?
Yes, definitely. And thank you for bringing that point, And when we're speaking about the risk factors, all these things kind of are developed as you grow or as you're aging, right? The emotional regulation that happens. So, just to give you like a simple example about what is emotional regulation is, all of us have fan, and just imagine that the fan regulator is broken. Now, what is going to happen is either that fan is going to work on the highest speed that the regulator was broken at, or it's going to work at a very low speed. And that is how the emotions are as well. That if you don't have a proper regulator, that is, if you don't know how to manage your emotions, it's either going to be very extreme, that is, you are not able to cope up with your emotions, your intense emotion reaction, and you're going to turn to alcohol or drugs or cigarettes or internet or shopping, eating, whatever. That, you not able to cope up. I'm feeling very sad. I don't know what to do. I need to eat
Either I
something.
react like crazy
Yes.
or I shut down completely.
Yes, right. So I'm feeling very angry. I don't know what to do. So I need a drink. I need
Hmm.
a cigarette. I'm very stressed out. I don't know. I need a drag right now. And that is what is happening, right? You're not able to regulate your emotions. And that is also happening with the kids, that they're not able to regulate their emotions. And that's how they learn that, okay, if I'm crying, I'm getting a phone handed to me. So
Yeah,
instead of addressing what is making me cry, my parents are giving me phone. So, okay, maybe that's the way to deal with my
that's the
emotions.
solution. Yeah. So
Yeah.
every time I
And
feel sad, I am supposed to look at my phone. Is the message the child is getting?
yeah, and maybe okay, whenever I want something, I can scream, I can shout, and I'll get that. So the
Hmm.
proper emotional regulation is not happening. And that is where, especially with when there is childhood trauma or when there is abuse, when there is loss, these become more vulnerable because then there is no support system, there is no proper
Yeah.
coping strategy that is developed. The
Yeah.
brain is not developed of that child to know what is right, what is wrong. So
Yeah.
whatever they get at that moment, they feel that is right. And now we see so many college going students, 16, 17, 18 years of old, having weed. Like that has become the new cigarette. A
Yeah.
lot of colleges we are seeing that, they are just smoking weed outside the college. And that again has a very harmful effect
Yeah.
because now you are getting addicted to it at a very early age also.
Yeah. So just to summarize what we've learned so far, I think there's two key points that are coming out. One, of course, that addiction is a symptom of a pain. There is hurt underneath. Recognize that and look at that if you really want to get rid of this. And the other thing that you're really saying is causing addiction to rise is that we are not able to or not willing to look at our emotions and
Mm,
use substance or any kind of behavioral addiction as a distraction away from it. So instead of
right.
looking inward, we are looking
Yes.
outside.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, Simran, for that. And I'm also curious. Like we spoke about so many different kinds of addiction, behavioral substance, and even tea, coffee, for that matter. Should I be more concerned about some kinds of addiction versus others?
So, as I mentioned, that it's not common for everybody, like based on your available resources, background, you will be more prone to certain types of addiction. Like people who are raised in a background where drinking is something kind of a norm, or they have seen their fathers or their mothers or any kind of relatives drink, they feel that this is something normal and very easily accessible as well. So they may turn into alcohol. If we have seen cigarettes is easily accessible for some people, it could be hardcore drugs as well, based on your background and your experiences. For others, there could be phone, social media. Youngsters, we have seen this a lot. In in that age group, we have also seen a lot of rise in pornography addiction or eating disorders or eating addiction, sexual addiction. So it really depends from what is the age group and from where they're coming in from, what are the social factors, psychological factors, and what are the available resources available for them as well. So as a coping strategy that they can choose.
Yeah.
For some people, it can be exercise as well, as simple as doing exercise.
Wow, that really opens up a whole new way of looking at addiction. But so what you're basically saying is we have to keep our eye open for, even things that we consider good. We can
So
also be
anything
addicted to those.
doing for maximum way, it can lead to addiction, right? If you're
Yeah,
doing it in a controlled way, nothing can be. So tea and coffee, once in a while, it is fine. But
yeah,
when you start observing those craving, tolerance, withdrawal, that is when you know that, okay, you're getting addicted. And that again could be for anything, right?
yeah. So true. So I think what you're saying is be aware or be on the lookout for if you're following that process somewhere. Are you getting the
Yes.
craving? Are you feeling psychologically or physically dependent on
Yes.
something? Great. Um, so you mentioned some of the reasons why people get addicted and how this process goes. I'm curious. I think we all understand how addiction feels to people who are around the person who's addicted. But
Hmm.
how does it feel to that person? I'm sure you've dealt with people who have been wanting to come out of it, or
Yeah.
some of them may be comfortable over there. How does it feel to them?
It is painful. It's
Hmm.
it's very painful to get out of addiction because you realize that there is not just that addiction that is bothering them, right? Along with that addiction, there is so much of history of trauma, of past negative experiences, childhood disturbances, lack of family support, social factors. So many of those things are there. Uh, so it's not just the addiction that you're treating, you're also trying to treat this baggage that they're carrying with them.
Yeah.
So
In fact, that is what you're trying to treat, right? I mean,
right, of
yeah,
course, and that is something that you have to treat and provide them with like good coping strategies, emotional regulation, building that social support so that they are not relapsing.
yeah,
If you're only treating that addiction, if you're giving them medicines and saying that, okay, just take these so that you're not getting the craving and withdrawals, you're ignoring all these other factors that they are, actually forcing them to go back and have that substance or
yeah,
fall back into that addiction because you're not changing the environment. You're not helping them deal with whatever they are struggling with,
yeah,
which is a contributing factor.
yeah,
So it is very painful to deal with it, and it's not like a one-day job or a one-month job.
yeah.
It's a lifelong thing, which is why in addiction we say that, look into things as one day at a time, one moment at a time.
Mm,
So you don't have to feel very pressured or be like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this
yeah,
forever. We are just trying to stay sober or trying to deal with our
today.
addiction for that day. Yes,
Yeah,
for that moment, even for that
yeah,
second. So for that second, I am trying to stay sober. I'm trying to stay clean.
yeah.
I'm not falling into my addiction. And simultaneously also working with a lot of other challenges or other baggage that I'm carrying with me.
Mm,
That is very important.
yeah. And that's so, I love how you said that I'm just looking at it as this moment. It makes it so much more consumable, so much more doable, right? And I do want to speak about, what you said about how can we help, like looking at all of these factors. It's not just one thing, it's not medicine and, you're free of it. It's not that. I do want to get into that. But before that, there's this common myth or common thing that we tell people who are addicted is that it is your choice. You're
Hmm.
choosing to be like this. Why can't you just snap out of it? I mean,
Yeah.
what do you have to say about that from your experience with people who suffer from this?
Uh, well, I don't really feel it's a choice because, we spent the last 20, 25 minutes discussing about how it's not that one fine day I'm getting up and I'm saying that, okay, I'm going to become an addict. It doesn't happen that way. So there is so much of history, or there is so many things that is happening in that person's life that is bringing him to where he is at that moment. You know, so we saw that there is childhood traumas, we have loss, we have separation, we have you know a lot of these things that are contributing for that person to choose substance or to choose that behavior that is helping them to cope up with that pain.
Yeah.
So
So it's not a
e-
choice.
it's definitely it's because for me maybe I am coming from a background with a lot of history of childhood traumas. For me at that moment, okay, my friends are suggesting maybe have a drink, it will help you. And I'm like, okay, fine, let me try that even because that is something that is available to me at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts, right? And then, okay, it is helping me actually. It is helping me to numb down. It is helping me to feel good. It is helping me to ignore whatever that's happening in the background. So why not? Let's try this.
Mm.
So, of course, I'm making that choice, but what has happened in the past, that is not my fault, right? That is not my choice. I'm
Yeah.
not choosing to have all those traumas or all those baggage.
Yeah.
So,
And
we
you've
can't.
also not chosen not to be taught how to emotionally regulate.
Exactly, right, of
Yeah.
course. And I don't know whether that is the right choice or not because
Yeah.
I don't have somebody telling me, okay, don't do this. It's not good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
So we really can't blame. And I have seen that, so many uh, of us, even for kids, Ari, you're always on your phone. Why are you always on your phone? We are blaming them. But can we also stay without a phone for 24 hours? Let's
Mm.
try.
Yeah.
Let's try ourselves and then maybe we can let's tell our kids also to do that.
Yeah.
So
I think
definitely,
this session is if we go into mobile addiction, I think we're going to have to extend this for 2 hours more.
of course, and
Um,
that is like at a very rise right now,
yeah.
because always there is a message ka ringtone सुन के I'm like, okay, let me check किसका phone है,
Yeah. Yeah.
किसका message है. So that is what is happening, right? If I am not able to do it, how can I tell my kids to do it?
Yeah.
And that is the signal your brain is getting, right? It's become a habit.
Yeah.
So how is it really a choice of that person to get out of it? Yes, definitely they understand that it is very harmful. I need to stop doing it. But once your mind and body is dependent on it, it becomes very difficult.
Hmm.
Then it's a matter of survival. That if you're not getting that substance, then you will maybe die, or to cope up with that withdrawals, even because at times the withdrawals are also so extreme that you have to take the substance to control yourself.
Yeah.
And I've seen in such cases, where uh, the parents are bringing the substance and giving to their child because it's like, okay, the withdrawals are so bad that you will die if you don't take that substance. So
Wow.
for that time being, I just need to save you. So I'm giving you that substance, you take it, you be okay, then we'll go and take help.
Hmm. Wow,
So
that's
at
a really
times,
interesting
yeah.
perspective. That's quite new to me. I had not heard of that. That's really amazing. And so, what is it that somebody who's addicted really needs from the people around them? How can we help them? What do we need to do? What do they need?
A lot of emotional support. And of course, it is not easy providing that support or giving that support. It is a painful task to be at that receiving end, to be the caregiver, even because you would like to support that person. But in their addiction, they have done a lot of things that they may regret of, that you don't approve of. So a lot of
So,
these factors are also playing out. But if that individual really wants to get better, if you really see hope, and you see that okay, they are genuinely interested in becoming better, then there are a lot of things that you can do it. So in cases of substance addiction, if there are severe withdrawals, then of course we start with medications to treat with that. And in some cases, even hospitalization is required. There are
hmm,
rehabilitation homes. There is counseling, where we help them deal with that baggage. Let's open that door and let's talk what's behind there. We also have family therapy, we have marital therapy. All of these factors do help that individual to actually deal with that pain better, because instead of coping with addiction, then maybe we are trying to help them cope with better things.
hmm. So,
Um,
what you're saying is don't treat the addiction, treat the underlying issues,
yes,
right? That's
underlying
what you're
issues.
saying.
Yeah, yeah, of
So
course.
that's where all the emotional support and even
Mm.
even the support to the caregivers comes
Of
up for
course,
them to
that is very
be strong
important.
enough to support them,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And how do we deal, like I'm sure some of us, may have had success with, getting out of an addiction, even if it is phone, like I've decided today I'm not going to do it,
Mm.
next 5 days I've been very good. But there is usually a relapse.
Yes.
Usually we fall back to our habits. And how do we
Mm.
deal with that for ourselves and for others?
Mm. So, as I mentioned that, in addiction, we look into it as one day at a time. So
Hmm.
we are not planning for the future that, okay, 10 years down the line, what is going to happen? Okay, today I am sober and I'm just going to focus on that. And of course, relapse is there, but where is that relapse coming in from? Where
Hmm.
you're maybe only trying to treat that addiction, कि अच्छा 6 महीना रिहैब में रख दिया उनको उनको दवाई दे दी उनको दूर रखा, that is it. But once you're going out, you're not preparing them for the real world now.
Hmm.
That because the issues are still going to be present. They're
Yeah.
still going to have conflicts with their parents, they're still going to have conflicts with their partners, they're still going to have issues at workplace. So the societal factors are not changing. So when we are providing them treatment, we are looking at into a biopsychosocial approach, that we are treating the biology, that we are treating the dependency of it, we are treating the emotions as well, the mental factors, the mental health of that patient, as well as the social factors. So while providing this treatment, we are minimizing the risk of relapse, but there
Hmm.
is always a possibility of relapsing, because
Yeah.
we are humans. We are not perfect. We are not always going to be happy. We
Yeah.
are going to experience pain at some point or the other in our life every day. We don't get to go out on a weekend. We are sad.
Yeah.
We don't get to go on vacation. We are sad. We don't. We wanted to go to a restaurant. We couldn't. There is a lot of rush. We are sad. So each person will have some negative experience, some pain point in their lives, and that is okay. That's how the life is. But
Hmm.
you and I maybe are better able to cope up with that. That okay, we are experiencing loss, we are experiencing some difficulties, we are having issues at workplace, but we are able to cope up better, relatively.
Hmm.
So we have to build that coping strategy in them, that emotional regulation. Okay,
Yeah.
I am going to experience pain. It's not that, okay, if I am on this journey of being addiction free, it's not going to be that I don't have any pain, I am happy forever 24 by 7.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But we are preparing them, okay, whenever you experience pain or discomfort in your life or distress in your life, you have support.
Yeah.
And now that we have like so many support, we have helplines where they can call
Yeah.
whenever they're feeling distress. We have,
Shameless plug for Pukar here.
of
We are
course,
here um 10 to 2 every day. Dolly has put the information on the chat. We are
yes,
here. Thank you, Simon. Yes, that's so true. I mean, there is support available in so many, and
yeah,
you've been part of helplines as well for so long. So you
yes.
have that. So what you're saying really is to help them as a caregiver or as someone who's with someone who's addicted. I need to be able to provide emotional support. And what does that really mean? What do I need to do in order
Mm,
to do that is to empathize, listen, all of those things that we've had sessions on so
mm,
far. Is there anything like 3 or 4 points that you would like to, because that's what we really want to take home, right? What can I do
mm,
in this
mm,
situation?
mm.
And of course, you
So,
mentioned opening it up to counseling,
yeah.
reaching out for help in other ways, more professional, more formal ways is
Mm,
also. But what do I do?
mm. So, as an individual, I feel all of us struggle with is accepting something because we
Hmm.
are all in denial. Arey, nahi, I don't drink tea so much. I don't drink coffee so much. No, my
Yeah.
child is not at all addicted.
Yeah.
So, the first step is to deal with that denial.
Beautiful.
कि ठीक है, okay, listen, maybe drinking too much tea at the
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
or maybe I'm spending too much of my time on my phone,
Yeah.
because we have a partners or we have a family members complaining about it, but we are like,
Yeah.
अरे नहीं कहा नहीं ज्यादा नहीं है time spend कर रही look at my
Yeah.
phone. So that's the thing, right, that we all don't want to
Accept.
look into ourselves. कि, अच्छा,
Hmm.
what are we doing? So first step is of course look into our behavior and our actions and how we are coping up as well. Because even as a caregiver, it can be a lot to provide for that person. We can experience burnout, we can experience stress even, and it's a difficult job to be constantly on alert and be like, okay, when they will relapse, when they will fall back, or when they're going again out and falling into some issues.
Yeah.
So we always have to be prepared for that. So definitely being aware about what is helping us, taking care of ourselves even,
Hmm.
and whenever needed, take help, because there's no shame in taking help. And it's not just that, okay, I have somebody in my family who's addicted, only they need to take help. But no, why? I am getting impacted by that. My mental health is at stake. So why can't I take help as well? Why can't I call somebody and talk about my feelings or my
Yeah.
distress? And it's just venting, right? That I
Yeah.
am calling up, I'm venting whatever it's happening, whatever my day was, or how distressed I felt during that time. That is it.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys are also there for, that it's not that I need maybe counseling, itna extreme tak nahi hai baat, but I just need somebody to talk to
Yeah.
as a family member, that I'm struggling to support someone with it.
Yeah.
So I just need like a sounding board that I can call them, I can just share my distress and be okay with it for a while.
Yeah. That's so beautifully said because as a caregiver, we are already burdened with this
Hmm.
responsibility. And then on top of that, we are dealing with our own
Yeah.
struggles. It's so important to take care of ourselves in order to be present for this other person, right? So a
Yes.
great point on that. And also the acceptance, I think, not just acceptance of my own flaws, but also accepting the other person for who he
Yes.
or she is and the fact that this has happened due to a lot of incidents
Hmm.
from who knows when, right
Yeah,
from
that's true.
childhood or in the
Right
recent
from the
past.
conception, but let's not start
Yeah,
there because again it will be a very lengthy talk.
exactly.
But of course, like right from the birth, the conception, there's a lot of factors that are playing in.
Yeah. Thank you, Simran. That's so beautiful. I think they've covered a whole lot of ground in very little time. I'm sure there's so much more detail, but I don't want to hog all the time. I want to let some of our participants also ask questions. If you have any, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. Um, while we are getting ready to do that, if you can all switch on your videos for just a few seconds, we can quickly get a picture of all of us here. It's so nice that so many of you have joined for this. If you can quickly switch on your videos, that would be really, really nice. We would love to have a picture with all of you. Thank you. Thank you all for switching it on. Dolly, I hope you
Hello.
can quickly. Hi, Amit. I
So
hope you
nice
can
to
quickly.
see familiar faces again.
Yes, see that? See, finally Simran's feeling good about seeing you all. I wish we had videos on throughout. But thank you. Thank you so much for being
So
here. And
can we have that
you,
1, 2, 3 so everyone can just pose at one time?
oh, great. All
I
right.
don't know if you can do
One more time. Videos on 1, 2, and 3. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we will also be sharing a feedback form, which is very short, so that we know what it is that you are looking for. More topics like this, some other topics recommendation. How did this work for you? It's very short. We would love for you to fill that in as well. Meanwhile, we are here open for questions. Um, anybody
Discussion
feels
as well. If anybody has something to add on to,
yeah.
uh, they're welcome to do so.
Yeah, happy to hear your experiences as well with dealing with something like this. And Dolly has just shared the form on chat if you can quickly fill in that feedback form. Any thoughts, any questions, any comments for Simran? So Rajiv has put in the chat. AA has a
Yes, A
12
has.
step. Go ahead, Simran.
Yeah, it has 12-step process that has foundational building blocks. That's something that's applicable to all kinds of addiction. Definitely, it is very generic, so we can use it for addiction as well. It does speak a lot about, say that one day at a time, or trying to help someone be altruistic. You are reaching out to your higher superpower and all those things. And I feel that's applicable for all of us when we are trying to uh, get away from addiction, because addiction is a very isolating thing, right? Because you're getting isolated from everybody around you. So this program kind of does help you to connect with the community, to connect with the people around you, build that support system. So yes, we can do it for other addictions as well. And it again could be because of your phone, that you're getting isolated from your family members, from your work, from your colleagues, all of it. So definitely, why can't we use it? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Simran. Couple
Can
of more questions on
yes,
the chat.
can YouTube addiction be overcome without any medication? Um, Yes, but we will have to look into what is the severity of it. So when the medications are prescribed is when the withdrawals are too severe. So in certain cases, the individuals can have seizures or tremors, or they're feeling very depressed because suddenly you're taking away that pleasure, you're taking that high from them. So in severe cases, you might experience withdrawals which require medications. So if that is happening with you or with somebody then definitely you may require medications. But otherwise, you may um, try to follow the AA steps, take counseling, take individual therapy, group therapy, or even family support. All these things can definitely help you. Few people are addicted to a particular person. What can be done in such condition? Um,
That's a
can
really
you
interesting
give
question.
me like tell me in a brief what you will want to, what you're trying to say with this question? If you could unmute and just help me with the question a bit.
Like in teenagers age,
Hmm.
uh, they have a particular friend, girl or boy, it doesn't
Hmm.
matter,
Yeah.
but they want their friend to be with them only, that
Hmm.
other friend should not talk with others, even
Hmm.
though the two girls are there, then also another girl should
Hmm.
not talk with other
Yeah.
girl or boy, or
Hmm.
they should be only with them, like a possessive. They are becoming possessive.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
and if
Uh,
that friend
hmm.
is not behaving accordingly, then
Hmm.
again that is a different kind of behavior.
Yeah.
Few people
Yeah.
are addicted, like getting into affair and making the breakups. वो
Hmm.
भी एक एडिक्शन मैंने देखा है आजकल के बच्चों में.
Yeah.
And being sad is also addiction.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is new for me, but that become their strong suit कि हाँ
Hmm.
मैं दुखी हूँ, तो I'll get the sympathy from other, I will get an empathy from other. So
Hmm.
I saw that is also different addiction. So
To yeah.
is it an addiction, or that is the personality of that person?
To answer the first part of your question, yes, that does happen. That comes in the line a bit about attachment. And lately, there are a lot of research saying that, addiction is also an attachment disorder. What it means that, you are building that dependency on that substance or on that habit or on that person, that if you're not around that person, that you're feeling very uncomfortable, you're feeling very distressed, you are feeling anxious, even that you're not able to cope up or survive without it. So there could be a lot of factors to why that is happening, that they are very dependent on that person, and that uh, possessiveness is happening, jealousy is happening. So it could also be an personality disorder or personality issue also, or not getting a proper support system, not being able to manage relationships, manage social support. So there could be multiple factors to it. um, yeah, I hope that answers your question. And to answer the second part of your thing about being sad, there again could be multiple factors as to why the person is sad. Is there some physical or psychological factor that is playing around, that is the person willingly or choosing to be sad? Okay, I'm getting sympathy, so that is kind of my way to deal with situation. Or generally, there is a lot of pain point, and why they're not able to come out of that sadness or depression. So yeah, that could play a part as well. I hope that answers your question, Ashwini. But again,
Yes,
we are definitely
continue.
okay to take it offline as well to discuss about the
हम्म,
relationship dynamics.
क्योंकि
Yeah.
हमने तो बच्चों का भी देखा है कि
Yes.
उनको अगर थोड़ा सा अटेंशन चाहिए तो बोलेंगे कि हाँ पेट
Hmm.
दर्द कर रहा है, सर दर्द कर रहा है, आई एम
Hmm.
नॉट फीलिंग वेल.
But
तो
that's again any human connection, human nature, right? Because
वो
we all
छोटे
are,
बच्चों के साथ होता है,
yeah,
बड़ों
yeah,
के
we
साथ
all,
इज डिफरेंट.
बड़ों के साथ भी होता है. बड़ों के साथ अलग वे में हो जाता है. That there comes tantrums, then there comes this thing, Gary, you should give me attention. Yeah, I'm not talking to you for 3 days, 3 weeks. So again, everybody wants connection in their life, right? Because we are wired like that, that we need that social connections or that support system around us. So बच्चों के इसमें भी होता है that if we don't want to do some task, या फिर एग्जाम आने वाला है, तो पेट दर्द करना स्टार्ट हो जाता है या बुखार आ जाता है. So that is a classic thing that physiologically your body starts reacting because of that stress. And even in adults, that happens, that okay, if I'm not getting that connection with somebody, then I'm feeling very restless, or I'm feeling depressed even, or I'm feeling very angry. Especially, I think in the COVID times, we all might have observed that because there was that lack of connection or that support system, we were so isolated or frustrated at staying at our homes, that we needed something or the other to connect with. So yeah, that does happen a lot.
Thank you,
Yes.
Simran. There's
We
one more
have, yeah,
question.
any correlation between addiction and suicidal tendencies? Yes, most definitely. I guess we missed covering that up, Anu. But yes, there is a great deal of connection between it, especially, what happens is suicide again, it's a way of ending that temporary pain to get like a permanent solution for it. And that's similar with addiction as well, that you're trying to end that temporary pain and get pleasure. So in suicide, a lot of times the individuals have are found to have taken some kind of substance, because when you're taking substance, you're better able to you know you're feeling a bit confident to take your life. Not to sound wrong, but your inhibitions are low, because when you're taking alcohol or when you're taking drug, your decision making goes down as well, so you're not able to decide what is right, what is wrong. So there are more attempts, or even uh, people are succeeding in ending their life. And not just suicide, but also we observe that there are a lot of accidents that happen. So, and then also they can end their life, or they may get fatally injured as well. So that does happen a lot, where when you're when you're consuming any kind of substance, there are possibilities of taking your own life, as well as getting into accidents, uh, engaging in some kind of encounters with others, and also maybe hurting yourself. Self harm is also a lot. So yeah, it does happen. What happens when the addicted person is not willing to take help? Uh, yes. So, like I mentioned, everybody is into denial. Nobody wants to do that. Because you've been consuming that substance or that thing for so many years, right? So all of a sudden, if I ask you to write from your left hand, you're not able to do it. You'll be like, why? I'm perfectly capable of writing from my right hand, so why should I do it? So that's the same thing, that but once you're injured, your right hand is injured, you have no other option but to write from your left hand, or use your left hand for your daily activities, right? So till that point has reached, not a lot of people do take help. They will wait for that final downfall. That is when they realize that, okay, they need to now stop being addicted to something. Uh, but a lot of times, forceful treatment is provided to them, because the parents are very worried, the family is very worried about them. So they want, you know, that person to be happy, they want that person to be stable, they want that person to get out of that behavior or whatever struggles they are into. So many a times a forceful treatment is attempted for them. Not a lot of times it is successful, because until and unless that person is not willing, that they're not deciding for themselves, nothing really works out, because even for us, so many times, maybe our parents tell us to do something, we don't do it until and unless we realize that, okay, it's good for ourselves and we need to do it. That is when we realize that, okay, let me make that change then. That is similar for them as well. So we have to be patient. We have to keep letting them know or informing them that, this is happening. This is where you're getting impacted. Your family is getting impacted. Your personal life, your professional life is getting impacted. Maybe you taking help, or you going to support groups and then maybe bringing them along gradually. So, step by step, introducing them to the treatment process can help, but we have to be patient with them till they kind of understand that, okay, this is something wrong and I need to take help with it.
Thank you. Thank you, Simran. Dolly,
Yeah,
you've
Dolly
raised your
has
hand.
something.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have a question. It's basically, I just wanted to share that sometimes we are not able to see how much digital content do I consume. So it's a good thing that if we check our phone, there
Yes.
is a setting column where we can see digital well-being. And when I checked, on some days my digital usage was up to 7 hours, which was very shocking for me. So we all can do that, and it also shows you how much time you have spent on each app,
Yes.
like Instagram or WhatsApp, and we can also put a control bar there. That if I want to spend only 15 minutes on that, so you can put it on 15 minutes, and you would realize that how controlling that sounds. that
Yes.
after 15 minutes you feel that urge that okay, let me unblock it and use it some more, maybe for 5 extra minutes. And
Yes.
that's where we get to see that okay, every time I feel that oh, any day I can leave social media, it's not impacting me. So I think that's a good test we all can do to,
Yes.
you know. Also for students, I have seen that sometimes students come to me, and a very regular complaint today is that I'm not able to focus.
Hmm.
And when I said, okay, what's stopping you, right? Sit for some time and try. He said that, but I'm on social media for 6, 7 hours. And after that, I sort of go into the numb zone that I
Hmm.
don't feel anything after that. So I said, okay, so what do you think you can do about this? So we had this conversation where he realized that okay, he can try just being more aware. That could be the first step, that okay, what is
Yeah.
my day zero consumption of social media, and I'll be more mindful. So he said
Hmm.
that. And today it's what happens, we become little harsh on ourselves. So he was like, oh, I'm like no really bad, and he was just
Hmm.
vilifying technology and all that. But today his consumption has gone down, not drastically, but still to 2 to 3 hours, I assume, and he started focusing on studies. So I
Yeah.
think just knowing that, like you said, that we stay in denial. So if
Hmm.
that acceptance itself is the first step. So if today we all go with that acceptance that okay, we can try from today, our day one, at least we can just be little better tomorrow.
Yeah. And that is what is happening with social media, because what happens is initially maybe we were able to sit through a 2 hour movie because we had that much of attention span and concentration. But now with the social media, with your reels and with your short videos, our attention span has literally gone down to like maybe 15 or 30 seconds. And sometimes even I have observed that with myself is that, okay, if this video is for 1 minute long now, I will not be able to focus. That I need like 15-minute content, 15-second content. कि अरे छोटा जितना content होगा ना, I will take in information and that is enough for me. So that is the thing with social media and with this younger kids, that they're not able to sit for longer time. Okay, we are sitting, we are studying for 1 hour, 2 hours, and we are processing whatever we are going through. But because of that mindless scrolling, you're just observing or you're just seeing, you're not actually processing, and your brain has lost that ability, or it's losing its ability gradually, that you can sit and you can actually read or listen and process something in your brain. That thing is actually getting lost somewhere. Yes,
Thank you.
Samriti.
Before we go to Samriddhi, is it all right, Samriddhi, if I just take a minute? Firstly, thank you, Dolly, for the wonderful points that you brought out. And since we are at the top of the hour at 5, I just want to, officially, formally thank Simran for being here. I think I really wanted to end this with also, if you have time, top 3 things that we should remember as we leave the session. But before that, I think your practical and very simple explanation of this topic really shows, I think having so many degrees and everything around this space, but still being able to speak a language that everybody understands really shows your grasp around this subject. Thank you so much, Simran, for spending
Not
this
at
time
all.
with us and sharing this information with us. Really, really appreciate it. And thank
Thank
you
you.
all for coming here and staying the whole time and being participative. Really appreciate that as well. And Simran, if whenever you get a chance after addressing some of these, the top 2 or 3 things that we should leave with today. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Samriddhi.
Yes,
Sorry
Samriti.
about that.
Yeah. I just wanted to thank only that it was a very helpful session to, get an overview of everything that is going on around addiction, especially the focus on pain and how difficult it is. Like, nobody will make a choice to choose a mental health disorder and to choose pain. So, if nobody wants to choose pain, then why are they still choosing pain? So thank you for, reaffirming that. And I was very happy to attend this session. I wanted to share. So yeah, that's
Thank
all.
you, Samriti. Thank you for always being a support. Great. So, okay, so three key points maybe that we can take away is one that anytime you feel you're getting physiologically as well as psychologically dependent on something, just be slightly aware. And it doesn't have to be anything extreme, say alcohol or drugs. It can be as simple as your day-to-day activities like your tea or coffee or your exercise, eating, any simpler things also. So just be mindful of those factors. Two, not looking at addiction as illness or as a disorder, but more of it being a coping strategy, it being a way of dealing with your pain, right? So being a bit compassionate or empathetic towards people who are struggling with it. And three, building connections around you with this a lot of changes, technology, capitalism, all of these things, we are becoming very isolated generations. So let's not do it. Let's connect with each other. Let's try to have that community around us as we had in our olden times. Let's try and make an attempt to do it as much as possible, and more so in a real world than in virtual world. That you are at least once a day trying to have some meaningful connection with people around you. It could be your family, it could be your colleagues, it could be your neighbors, random strangers, even. But let's not be isolated. Let's strive for connection because that's who we are.
Thank you, Simran. What a wonderful, wonderful message that was, the last one especially. Thank you so much. And Samriddhi has also shared something
Yes,
beautiful on the chat. Thank you all. Simran, thank you once more. And thank
not a
you,
problem.
Dolly, for helping with everything today. So we will close the session here and hope to see you all next month.
Yes, looking forward to it. Thank
Thank
you all
you.
for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Simran. Wonderful session.
Thank you,
Thank
Dolly.
you.